Welcome to the Dominion Museum Archives, a collection of the realm's most sacred, mysterious, and often misunderstood histories. What you are about to witness is an account long debated, oft disputed, and yet forever etched into the fractured memory of the world. This is the story of Glennard the Foul, a name whispered with fear, written in red ink, and remembered by many as a villain. But as with all tales passed down through scattered scrolls and unreliable tongues, the truth is never quite what it seems. Through oral tradition, first-hand testimony, and surviving fragments of lost lore, this archive will attempt to piece together the path that led Glennard from humble beginnings to the edge of godhood.
Was this horrible war criminal? I don't know if that's 100% true. There's no evidence of any crime.
He was my natural born opponent from the moment I was born. Me personally, I'm sworn to defeat him one day. The only reason I've never made a move on him is just there's too many eyes watching, there's too many people. I know he has supporters out there, and lately they've been getting really vocal about it. Whatever he has coming to him, he deserves it.
I think it's just a chicken that we've just accepted in the Nether Hub.
Personally, I see only what he chooses to become next.
Glennard is what Dominion has chosen as their preferred scapegoat.
He has been convicted of crimes that there's no evidence he's committed.
Glennard, I would say, is a disciple of Zigzagoth, and that he should be burned at the stake and not imprisoned.
Hate that guy. He's done terrible things, so I heard. Alleged war crimes? Stealing Beeatrice, apparently. That's what I've heard.
I think he's irrelevant, It's too irrelevant.
He appeared in the 1.18 hub one day, a war criminal.
Who is despicable, does not deserve a fair chance at the truth.
Because I think
he's innocent. I think he's been framed.
No, he's a war criminal, and he is trying to kill Beeatrice or something.
I will say that I definitely don't trust that chicken. I believe it's a scheming mastermind that was pulling the strings.
It was basically immediately once this chicken showed up, everyone kind of knew there was something different about it. So,
Glennard's the guy whose existence led to the Nether Hub being bombarded with graffiti and some grief actions there, lots of stuff going on there. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to support him after he caused all that.
No. You gotta keep tabs on him, because I'm a little scared about where the hell he's gone off to, because he's gonna pop up somewhere, and if he's in the Nether Hub, you know where he is, and you don't have to worry about it. So at least that's my thoughts.
Well, all I know is he's a war criminal. If he ever returns, it's only because he should get back to wherever he is right now.
Dominion's second Nether Hub, the 1.18 hub, was completed after 72 hours of tireless community effort. Players were busy exploring the new update and building up Spawn, which was still in its early rough stages. With little infrastructure, Spawn wasn't nearly as safe as it is today. Just after the new year, a well-known player died at Spawn, killed by what appeared to be a terrifying zombie riding a chicken. Determined to retrieve their items and get revenge, they traveled back to Spawn. But at sunrise, the zombie burned to death. Believing the chicken got off easy, they took it to the newly completed Nether Hub and hung it there for all to see. Then, in a fit of absurd vengeance, they falsely accused the chicken, now known as Glennard, of countless war crimes against Dominion, fabricating the entire tale on the spot. Glennard was first discovered by a player named Astrogirl on January 2nd, 2022. At first, people believed the signs accusing him. Glennard was confused and hurt. He never asked for a zombie to ride him and cause chaos. Now and then, he'd escape using his sharp beak, but somehow always ended up back on the post, hanging again. Sometimes players even killed him while he hung helplessly, Yet he would still return, as if death couldn't release him. This puzzled many. Was it the work of the Cod God? A curse from Zigthykoth? Or perhaps Wilvin's mysterious scripts, the same force that once resurrected the Cod God after his watery death? One day, Glennard escaped again, this time making it all the way from the shopping district to Central Spawn. Fearing he'd be pulled back to the Nether any second, he shouted into the sky.
Please stop! I'm innocent! I didn't commit any war crimes!
He wandered past trees, rocks, bees, even a lake. But this lake was strange. The fish were talking?
Psst! Are you in danger, Mr. Chicken?
Whispered a salmon. Glennard, desperate, replied,
Yes! I keep getting dragged back to hang in the Nether. It's like magic.
Zigthykoth, a powerful being who once could summon anything, suspected the cause. Wilvin's scripts, not the Cod God. He'd seen their magic before, used to resurrect the Cod God himself.
Let's make a deal,
Zig said.
I know what's happening. If you try every day to break free, taunt them, get respawned, I promise I'll cleanse you forever.
Whatever, Salmon. I'll take the deal. Just please help me.
Good.
Over the next 2 years, Glennard died, escaped, and respawned again and again, each time returning stronger than before. By this point, Glennard wasn't just a fugitive. He was folklore. There were stories, countless stories. Some painted him as a trickster, others as a tyrant. He'd become the center of conspiracy theories, a character in satirical plays, a cinematic villain in a short film, even the final boss of a full-blown RPG game. There were fake death announcements, staged crime scenes, entire arcs of grief and vengeance, many of which had no basis in reality. Glennard was blamed for it all. Sometimes, even the Dominionites didn't know what Glennard was guilty of, only that he was. Unbeknownst to him, as Glennard followed Zigthykoth's guidance, by being resurrected, the more strength Zigthykoth harnessed from Wilvin's scripts.
I have seen him die, and I have seen him come back. Because if you think about the fact that Glennard is technically not a god, but has the ability to reincarnate himself.
Yeah, I mean, even one time I killed him, and staff just respawned him, so...
I've not witnessed it, but I've heard it's happened. And I've seen evidence that perhaps he put an imposter of himself somewhere on the server. But if that was really him and he keeps coming back, then there's something wrong with him. There's something more going on here. And he's not just some normal chicken.
Never. But I've heard the tales. I guess if it's true, then something older must spy upon him.
I know Glennard has disappeared a couple of times as well. Some entity might be respawning Glennard, but I don't know who, or what, or for what purpose.
No, I have not. I don't think I've ever witnessed any god being respawned. I feel like there was one time where there was pandemonium in chat, and then the server crashed rather violently.
I think there was some social engineering going on, because people believe Glennard has god status, but to my knowledge, it was just a chicken someone hung up.
Oh yeah, definitely. Several times. There's also a lot of Glennard babies walking around. Maybe it's an admin conspiracy, huh?
I don't know what you're talking about. I must leave.
No, but I did witness him turn into a donkey. Yeah, I was there whenever the donkey appeared. Sorry, whenever Glennard turned into the donkey. I think one time I did see him be sent to the Shadow Realm below him into the gas pit. But eventually he made a reappearance.
But even in the deepest chaos, there are those who still listen to the light. The Cod God, ancient adversary of Zig-the-Koth and guardian of Dominion's balance, had been watching, and on December 30th, 2023, he intervened. He summoned a single Dominionite, and to them, he spoke of terrible things. Not only the resurrection of Glennard, but he reminded him of Wilvan's scripts, the same commands which revived the Cod God after being murdered by Emissary of Wind, commands which this player knew held unimaginable power. If Glennard is not stopped, the Cod God warned, Dominion will fall, not by sword nor fire, but by repetition, by resurrection. The more Glennard was resurrected, the more strength Zig-the-Koth harnessed. And so, this player obeyed. Glennard was stolen away under the cover of Pixelated Night, taken to a place few even remembered, Zig-the-Koth's sacred temple, a forgotten dungeon left behind after the god's defeat. Once a place of worship, now abandoned, cursed, silent. There, the player sealed Glennard in secret. Signs were placed, warnings etched in bedrock, hoping it would be enough. But he knew the Dominionites would not take his absence lightly. They would panic, rage, hunt. So a final deception was made. A trusted ally deployed a decoy, a fake Glennard, crafted to stand in his place. And for a while, it worked.
I did replace the Glennard. Look, okay, I didn't kill him, okay? I did notice one day he just was missing. There was no Glennard, like, you know, happens every now and then. And then somebody reaches out to me. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to drop names. They say, hey, Glennard's missing. Can you, like, replace him with just a random chicken that you named Glennard? I'm like, sure. All right, yeah, I can do that. I wanted to replace Glennard because every time he's gotten respawned, he keeps laying eggs, and it's so annoying when you spawn in the Nether Hub when you pick up eggs and you just don't want to be picking up all these eggs. I knew of a chicken jockey chicken that I had at one of my map art platforms, so I brought it over, renamed it to Glennard, and then I hung it up.
Whispers began to spread. Glennard might not be who we thought he was. Some players noticed something strange, subtle. His name, at a glance, seemed normal. But upon closer inspection, the L in Glennard had been replaced by a special character, off by just 1 pixel, almost unnoticeable, unless you were looking for it. That revelation changed everything. A server-wide chicken hunt was launched. Paranoia swept across Dominion like wildfire. It all began with a simple thread: find Glennard. 2 words that would strike a server-wide chicken hunt. And from that moment, the chase began. Over the following months, reports flooded in, close calls, fleeting sightings, but Glennard always slipped away. Fake versions of him began to appear throughout spawn. Decoys, distractions, chaos incarnate. Some dismissed them as pranks, others saw them as messages. Remnants of Zig-the-Koth's cult, still active, still watching. Conspiracies took root. Some believed Glennard had never been captured at all. Others claimed he'd split himself across dimensions. One thing was clear: no one could agree on the truth. And in the midst of it all, Dominion held its breath.
So, I was the first to realize that Glennard had gone missing, and that was because I have a texture pack that changes the colors of different chickens. Glennard has always been white, and one day I was walking through the Nether Hub, and he was brown.
I found it kind of exciting, you know, like maybe now we could get to a point where Dominion was a more just society.
I thought that maybe he had finally spoken up, that maybe some god, angel, devil had listened and answered.
I think some players took it upon themselves to liberate Glennard, or hide him, or otherwise torture.
Being a war criminal, I would think that he would want to escape and maybe put an imposter in his place, so we would not get on his trail immediately.
Well, I kinda said it before, but I definitely wasn't surprised. I mean, we've seen him leave and now I learned that even die and then come back, so...
So if you think it's me, I have nothing to do with the disappearance of Glennard. I'd like it if he could come back, because I miss his dangly presence.
I was on an extended hiatus, and the news of Glennard's disappearance when I reappeared on the server came as a great shock to me, as ever since the start of 1.18's new terrain, Glennard had been a sort of constant on the server ever since we'd gotten the new hub up, ever since we moved spawn. Felt like he was kind of a sign of the new era, and so for him to be gone made me wonder if new things were coming, or if bad things were coming.
Honestly, it was only a matter of time before... You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I'm tired of all the lies and misinformation. Glennard is alive, and he was taken by me at the end of 2023 and replaced by a fake Glennard. I did this out of pure necessity. One night, the COD God spoke to me. He told me about Glennard, he told me about Wilven's scripts, and he told me that Dominion is in danger. He urged me to remove Glennard from the Nether Hub at once for the safety of Dominion. And so I did. All I could say to you right now is currently he is somewhere safe, keeping Dominion safe.
As the calendar turned to 2025, it was unofficially declared the Year of the Glennard. What had began as whispers turned into a movement. On one hand, the Glennard supporters, only asking for a fair trial, and on the other, those who wished to see Glennard returned, and hung right back up in the Nether Hub.
People being like, oh, he's not a war criminal, he did nothing wrong. Versus, no, it's been pretty well documented that he is. Glennard imprisoning Beatrice a while back for bogus reasons. The Seeds video is proof of Glennard's mistreatment and his commitments to focus on doing war crimes.
I do not support Glennard. I believe he needs to hang there for all of eternity for his crimes against Beatrice.
Beatrice is the queen. Praise be.
Whispers of doubt began to spread, murmurs questioning whether Glennard's sentence had ever been just to begin with. The voices grew louder, swelling into unrest. Lines were drawn. On one side, those who saw Glennard as a scapegoat. On the other, a true criminal, an enemy of a familiar force in our archives, a figure well known in the depths of Dominion lore. Beatrice, born from the magic of the 1.14 Nether Hub construction. Beatrice was once revered as a minor bee goddess, a golden-winged sentinel of order and pollination. But her fate was anything but divine. Captured and condemned by Zigthakoth himself, she was imprisoned on the Nether roof, an eternal sentence above the sky of bedrock. Her suffering didn't end there. She was later bartered to the Piglin King, sold into exile, her sacred honey reserves plundered, her colony left in ruin. It was only through the bravery of the Dominionites that she was freed. Since then, she has resided safely in Spawn. But her memory is long, and her loyalty is complicated.
You just hear a lot of confusing and eyebrow-raising things when you go talking about Glennard. And then they start, defending Beatrice when we're trying to achieve justice for Glennard. And it just raises some questions. Why are we trusting someone that is a known monarch, an aristocrat? Beatrice has been said to, be a wealthy, powerful aristocrat. Not traditionally the kind of entity that I would trust.
What other reason could they want to harm Beatrice other than to take what she has? They covet what Beatrice has and they want it for themselves.
A free trial, an opportunity to cluck for his buck, to let Dominion know who he truly is. And if he's convicted as guilty, well, then he's guilty. No sweat off of my wings.
People have said about war crimes against Beatrice, which, I don't know, could be true. I don't have any proof either way.
I don't know where he's gone. Sometimes in my sleep I hear a faint clucking sound. When you hear random clucking, it's like, oh no, Glennard's over my shoulder. So I'd like that to stop.
But I was part of a propaganda film last year called Seeds. I was a whole script written by, I think, 03 Kelvin, who's no longer on the server. But it's a whole script about, like, Glennard's origin and, like, the battle with Chushberry and, like, the brainwashing of all these Dominion players. But people are taking it as history, but I was a paid actor. None of that was real. We were on site. There was green screen involved.
I believe that was a work of fiction. I do not remember seeing a disclaimer saying that it's based on real events. Though I do believe Chushberry has the fundamental right to eat Glennard.
It was a documentary rather than a piece of fiction.
Polish Hussar feels very strongly that Glennard is a war criminal.
I don't want to point any fingers, but I think Chushberry is pretty heavily involved in the anti-chicken propaganda. I'm just saying it's a bit of an odd coincidence that she's so heavily featured in the film and is so very anti-chicken.
Well, I've noticed that there have been like more chickens in like little clusters showing up in different districts in the shopping areas. A couple of them I noticed also had name tags, all labeled Glennard soldiers, which is highly, highly suspicious.
And I will admit to stirring the pot just a little bit for funsies. I did take some name tags and rename a bunch of random chickens around Spawn Glennard.
And we have a small underground network of intel that we keep private because, the Glennard thread did become a honeypot for those trying to harm Glennard.
By mid-March of 2025, tensions in Dominion reached a boiling point. Support for Glennard surged, his defenders rallying under cries for justice, demanding a fair trial for the so-called Crimson Rooster. Meanwhile, the Bee cultists responded with fervent opposition, their chants echoing through the nether tunnels, branding Glennard a traitor to all life on land. Banners were hung in the nether hub, symbols of loyalty and protest alike. Within hours, they were torn down, burned. The air grew thick with suspicion, and the realm braced itself for civil war. And then, on the morning of March 18th, 2025, it all vanished. On June 1st, 2025, a message appeared in the form of an image. Throughout the week, whispers spread across Dominion. Clues leaked into chat, some cryptic, others strangely direct. And on June 3rd, 2 players known as Galliano and Fox found Glennard, and they chose to bring him back to the Nether Hub, where it all began.
Wait, hold on. We're getting breaking news. This can't be real. An intraportal energy skip just occurred in the center of the Nether Hub. All built up magical energy from woven scripts, rerouted straight into the heart of Spawn. No, just as the Cog God warned.
"3 years I waited beneath the waves, and you fools delivered me home."
He did it. Glennard was the key. Zigthakoth is reborn, and it was the Dominionites who led him back to the Nether.